Let's add and subtract polynomials. Alright, so again, here's just some vocabulary that you're going to hear me talk about these terms. You're going to hear me talk about what a term is. You're going to hear me talk about what a monomial is. Just so you know, terms are separated by pluses and minuses. I'm going to write that down. Terms are separated by pluses and minuses. Okay, here's some more vocabulary for you. Polynomial just means several monomials put together. We write polynomials in descending order, so the highest exponent down to the smallest exponent. The degree of the polynomial is the exponent of the variable, so in this right here, 2x to the 7th, the degree is 7. Okay, so in this problem right here, the degree of this is our highest exponent. So the degree of this right here is 4. Alright, so we're going to use words such as linear, quadratic, cubic, polynomial, degree, one variable, and two variables to describe. This number one is a quadratic. Now what makes that a quadratic? This right here makes it the quadratic. It's the highest exponent, so that's what makes it a quadratic. It is a polynomial, or you could call that a trinomial. To be more specific, polynomial is just fine though. Let's see here. It has a degree of 2, and it has one variable. Now notice that that one variable shows up twice, but it's still only x's. We don't have x's and y's, so one variable. Alright, so let's look at the next thing. Number 2, this is a cubic. What makes it a cubic? This right here. It is a polynomial. You could also call that a trinomial. It has a degree of 3. That's the highest exponent. And it is also a one variable. This last one, number 3. This doesn't have a specific name like linear, quadratic, cubic, but it is considered a polynomial. It does have a degree. Now this is going to blow your mind. Watch this. It has a degree of 5. You add those highest exponents together. And it is in two variables, because we have A's and B's. Okay, so here's some more vocabulary for you. We're going to talk about coefficients a lot. Coefficient is just the number that's in front of a variable. So in the term negative 3x squared, your coefficient is negative 3. Leading coefficient is a big deal too. We're going to talk about that. The highest exponent, the number that's in front of the highest exponent, is your leading coefficient. This right here, these are considered unlike terms because their exponents do not match. They are different. So it is important that you understand what like terms are. To combine like terms, add the coefficients of the terms. Like terms means same exponent or exponents and same variable or variables. Okay, so we're going to combine like terms when possible. Okay, on number 1, they do have the same variable, they have the same exponents, so I can add the coefficients together. So I get 12x squared. That's what that is simplified. Okay, so let's look at number 2. They both have x's to the third power. They both have y's to the second power, so that means I can add, or subtract in this case, these like terms. Don't do anything to those variables or exponents, but write them down. Okay, number 3. I've got a squared there, but I've got a to the 4th here, so you cannot combine. Okay, number 4. The x's are the same. They have the same exponents. This is really a 1 in front of that, so whenever I combine these, I get a negative 5x squared. Okay, so whenever we add polynomials, you combine your like terms. Alright, so on this page, number 1, I am strictly looking at combining my like terms. So I've got 4x squared and a 6x squared. That gives me 10x squared. And then I've got a 3x plus a negative 2x. And I get, whenever I combine those, plus 1x or just x. Again, you have to separate your terms with pluses or minuses. If it's a positive number, put a plus. If it's a negative number, put a minus. Number 2, let's look at that right there. Those are my like terms. 5x cubed plus 7x cubed gives you 12x cubed. Whenever I use them, I'll mark through them. That way I don't accidentally try to use them again. Next, my like terms are these guys. So I've got negative 3x squared plus negative x squared, which gives me a negative 4x squared. Used them up. Now I've got a positive 8x and a negative 3x. So I've got plus 5x. Then I have negative 1 and a positive 4. Whenever I combine those, I get plus 3. Now none of these over here are like terms, so that is as simplified as this thing gets. Alright, take a look at number 3. I don't have any like terms for that, so I'm just going to write it down. It went away. Next thing, I want to do my next highest exponent, which is this right here. So I'm going to put plus 7x squared because I don't have any other like terms to combine that with. Now I've got a negative 5x plus a negative 4x, and whenever I combine those, I get a negative 9x. None of these are like terms. That's the best I can do. Alright, so now let's look at number 4. 4x squared plus 3x squared gives me 7x squared. A positive 3xy and a negative 7xy gives me a negative 4xy. Use those up, use those up. Alright, so now I'm left with a negative 5y squared and a positive 9y squared, and I get a positive 4y squared. None of these are like terms, so this is as simplified as it gets. Alright, so now whenever we subtract polynomials, you want to first distribute negative 1 and then combine your like terms. Here's what I mean by that. Alright, so on this one, notice how you have a minus sign in front of that second set of parentheses. So I'm going to distribute, there's really a negative 1 there, I'm going to distribute that there and there. So that means change that, change the sign of every single term immediately following. So this problem is turned into this. I'm going to write it down here. 8x cubed plus 5x squared plus negative 6x cubed minus 2x squared. Now I'm going to combine my like terms. I get 2x cubed, and then I have 5x squared plus a negative 2x squared, so that's plus 3x squared. That's as good as that gets. So now in this one, I'm going to change that to a plus, change the sign of every single term after. So I've got 2a squared plus a negative 6a squared gives me a negative 4a squared. Those go away. Negative 5ab plus 4ab gives me a negative ab. 7b squared plus negative 3b squared gives me a positive 4b squared. There we go. That's it. Okay, hope this helps. Send me a message if you have any problems.